Well, Peter and Fern, thank you for inviting us into your beautiful home. And what a great room that's encapsulated by two stunning courtyards. Tell us about where the story began.
We moved here about 7 years ago, and the outside was okay,
Yep.
but we wanted to add our own touch to it. We had some ideas, but really didn't know how to bring them into being or anything like that. So we contacted Kerry, and having seen her at Garden Week here in Perth, really it went from there. Kerry came, talked to us, asked us what we wanted, what our lifestyles were like. We have a couple of young kids. So that was important to us, and being able to use the area, but something that looked nice as well, but was usable. It was a bit of a challenge, we thought, because the house having so much glass and everything like that, there were sort of multiple angles and perspectives to think about, but we've ended up with this, and we're just very, very happy.
What I love about this garden is how the courtyard actually makes the home. As soon as you walk through the front doors, the courtyards are front and centre, so they needed to shine. We're standing in this, beautiful dining room, and we're encapsulated by glazing, which again brings the importance of the garden through. How do these two spaces work together?
From the dining room, we've got a southern aspect and a northern aspect, and they're beautifully connected with ponds and fish, and that was one of the elements that we wanted to incorporate into the design. But also, when you're sitting having dinner of an evening or at lunch, there's something to look at. It doesn't matter where you look, there's something to look at and watch. Or you can sit and watch the fish or anything like that. Or if it's a cold winter's night, even being inside, we can have the fire blazing outside, and it's just beautiful.
It's one of the coolest fish ponds I've ever seen. Like, the acrylic window normally happens on a swimming pool, but you've actually got it highlighting your prized possessions.
That was one of the big challenges, and when we mentioned it to Kerry, it was like, okay, yes, and I guess thinking from a technical perspective, it probably wasn't easy in an existing build as opposed to a new build. But if we entertain here or something like that, it's nothing to have 5 or 6 kids lying down on the lounge room floor looking through the window and watching the fish, and it's just lovely.
It's a very unique little feature. I absolutely love it. There's 2 sort of day beds, one more of a lounge, one more a poolside day bed. Decored a little bit differently. Is that something that you've personally had an influence on?
Yeah, I think for me it was a case of getting the right cushions and making sure that we can actually match from the I guess fireplace courtyard through to the pool and connecting that. I just, for me, I wish we actually had a bit more time to actually sit around them.
Yeah, sure.
Certainly with summer now, expecting with the kids getting older and things like that, hopefully I'll be able to sit on the day bed and watch the kids in the pool. Yeah.
And I love the timber arbour that sort of, gives that a bit of sense of enclosure by the pool.
And it's good. It actually provides a rustic look to it. It actually, it's a bit different, and that's one of the things that I guess that we really wanted, was really to have things that are a little bit more individual than perhaps the day-to-day that you see everywhere else.
Well, I love the personal touches, and there is one just by the barbecue that I've been told not to ask about, but there is a lovely sign out there. Is there a story behind that?
There is a story behind that in my younger, more impetuous days and souveniring, but that's as far as we'll go.
Well, I think it's found its perfect home with its histories. Perth's put on a ripper day, and this is what it's all about, outdoor living.
It's a summer afternoon. Typically the kids would be here. There might be something on the barbecue, and it's just great.
Well, guys, congratulations. It's a beautiful outdoor space. I'm loving Perth every time I come here, so well done. And I hope it gives you many more years of pleasure.
I'm sure it will. Thanks for coming.
Kerry has created an amazing garden that truly complements the home and the owners perfectly. It's a garden with strong lines and structural design features, but it still has a soft, feminine palette with the use of clever plant selections and decor, the perfect result for all.
So the story began, I met Fern and Pete at Garden Week. They wanted a garden with a bit more personality, didn't want a sterile garden, flowers, a bit of colour, and something that really worked for them and their family. So arriving on site, the first thing I noticed, very cool house. Although this is about 18 years old, it's got some really interesting architecture, and the garden was really not reflecting that. It was quite an old-fashioned style garden, cottagey, and wasn't really showing off the architecture of the home. So that was what we really wanted to change and make it contemporary, timeless, work with the architecture. The swimming pool was already here, so we had to work around that. And obviously there's lots of angles with the pool, so trying to carry that through for the rest of the garden. So first of all, Fern wanted a space for us to put a day bed so the kids could be in the pool and she could be watching them. Going from there, we're into the entertainment space. And we needed to link the two together. So we've used the same materials throughout. We've got this beautiful travertine going through the garden. We've tried to carry through the timber work with the screens, the daybed screening. We added a feature limestone wall in here. They already had the existing limestone wall on the boundary. So we put a limestone wall in there, which it forms part of the pool fence. And then we've had to use the levels of the garden. So then we've got the sunken area at the end of the garden that they can use in winter with the fire pit. It's something visual that works for them, but it's got that great element that brings the family together when they're entertaining. And the courtyard, that when you're sitting in the dining room and that's all lit up at night time, that just looks lovely. The brief was make sure my fish are involved in the design. So really I had to incorporate that. That was a strong element of what Fern and Peter wanted, especially Peter. He already had a big fish pond, but like I said, it was quite cottagey in design. So we really made that a lot more modern, gave it a ledge so you could sit there looking at the fish. And then we've got that glass frontage, so when they're sitting inside, they can still see the fish. So with plant choices, we really need to make sure that we pick tough plants that are going to thrive, not survive. I love plants that have scent, flowers, but still are green and lush. So we've gone for some beautiful Michelia in the garden, which has that beautiful bubblegum sort of fragrance in springtime. The ornamental pears, they're fantastic in small gardens. They let in that winter light when you want it, and then the shade when you need it in summer. And flowering plants, you know, I guess that's my feminine touch that I like to put in the garden. I like to see flowers, but keep them sort of not too overbearing. So we've got structure planting and then that impact of colour with a few flowers throughout the garden. So by the pool, I love crepe myrtle. It's my favourite tree. It's got that beautiful bark that changes. Even when there's no leaves or flowers, it's still a stunning looking tree. And liriope is a signature plant for Empire Lane. It's got to go in every garden. I love it. It softens the edges of paving, stays green all year, and then you get that beautiful flower as well. With Empire Lane, what I really like to do is make sure I engage fully with the client and incorporate my ideas, but with their personality. And so it's important to really get to know them. It's like buying a present for someone you don't know. It's not going to work. You have to really get to know them and take on their ideas and then guide them with your professional advice and make sure that the two meld together to create a design that you're proud of and they love.